Hello and welcome to part 2 of control flow. In this video, the first topic we're going to cover is a switch statement. So a switch statement is just another tool within Swift which is great for working with many potential conditions. So what a basic switch statement does is it takes a value with multiple options and allows you to run separate code based on each option or case. You can also provide a default case to specify a block of code that will run in all the cases you haven't specified defined. So what we have here is we have a response, a constant of a response equal to 5, and then we call our switch statement. So basically what we do within a switch statement is we compare each one of the cases with the constant that is provided after the switch statement. So what we're going to do here is we're going to check to see if response is 1. If it is, we'll print out strongly disagree. If it's 2, we'll print out disagree. If it's a 3, we'll print out no opinion. If it is 4, we'll print out agree. And if it is 5, we'll print out strongly agree. If it's not any of the cases 1 through 5, we'll get an invalid response. So we will go ahead and run the code. So basically our response is equal to case 5. So it'll go ahead and print out strongly agree. If I go ahead and change this value, say to a 0, and we go ahead and run our case statement, our switch statement, then what'll happen is our response does not match any of our case values, so it drops down and prints out our default, which is an invalid response. If I change the value to a 3, it'll go ahead and print out a 3. So a switch statement is great to use when you have many potential conditions. The code is not as cumbersome as using a very large if-else-if block of code. Any given case statement can also evaluate multiple conditions at a time. So what we're doing here in our case statement is we're checking to see if our character lowered case is equal to an A, E, I, O, U, and then we'll print out it is a vol. The default case is that it is a consonant. So I'll go ahead and run this code. This character is a consonant. So what we're doing on line number 27 is we're basically taking whatever character is stored in our character variable and we're changing it to lowercase. So what this does is it converts our uppercase b to a lowercase b, and then we're comparing our case statement to it. If we wanted to compare, see if something is a vol and we did not lowercase our character, then we would have to compare both to uppercase and lowercase vols in our case statement. So when you're ever comparing strings or characters, you'll want to get them either lowercase your comparison or uppercase your comparison, and make sure that what you're comparing to is in that case. We could have also compared to all uppercases and basically changed our statement. So the other thing we could have did is we could have used uppercase vols within our comparison, and then we would go ahead and instead of call lowercase, we would have called uppercased. So now I'll go ahead and run this. It'll come back as a consonant. If I go ahead and put in a capital E or a lowercase e, it should come back as a consonant or as a vol. So it'll come back as a vol. And say, for instance, if I did not have this uppercase right here, if I did not uppercase my character and I reran the statement, it'll come back as the character is a consonant because our cases do not match. So again, when you're comparing letters, there's a specific ASCII or Unicode value for both upper and lowercase characters, and that's what gets used when those characters or strings are compared. Okay, so when you're working with numbers, you can use interval matching to check for inclusion in a range. So this is a really nice feature that you can go ahead and use. So what we're doing is we're checking to see if a grade is an A, B, C, D, or an F. And what you can do within your case statement is you can provide your lower bound and then your upper bound, and within that you would use 3 dots. So if the grade fell within that upper and lower bound, then the print statement after that case would get printed. So if we go ahead and run this, what we have here is our grade is a D. If we go ahead, say change this to 90, our case 90 to 100 should get called, because it is our lower bound. If I go ahead and run, the grade is an A, and say for instance if I decrease it to 56 and rerun it, the default value, the default clause should get executed and the grade is an F. So whenever you need to check multiple conditions within specific ranges, a switch statement is a great way to do that. Again, the switch operator is the right tool for control flow when you want to run different code based on many different conditions. So in this case, we're checking four separate conditions here, so that would be a prime way to go ahead and use a switch statement. And the last thing we're going to talk about is a ternary operator, and it's an interesting and very common use case for an if statement is to set a variable or return a value. If the condition is true, you want to set a variable to one value. If the condition is false, you'll want to set the variable to a different value. So this is an example of that. So basically what we have here is we have our sales amount equal to 95,000. We have our commission earned set up that variable. It's going to be a string variable. And then we have our commission level set to 150,000. So if our sales 95,000 is less than or equal to our commission level, we're going to set our commission earned value to yes. And if it's not, we're going to go ahead and set it to no. So if I go ahead and run this code, we actually see a no over there. So our commissioned earned variable is now set to no. But there's an easier way to do this to reduce the amount of code, and that's using the ternary operator. And the ternary operator is a question mark and a colon, and it's used for writing more concise code. So it basically has 3 parts. It has a question with a true or false answer, then a value if the answer to the question is true, and a value to the answer if the question is false. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and let me see, comment out this code right here. There we go. So we've initialized our commissioned earned statement to a string up above, but I've commented that out so we can see what happens to our variable when we go ahead and check it down below. So what we do is in our ternary operator, we first specify our condition in right here. This is similar to what gets found within your if clause. And then we use the question mark, and then after that, we go ahead and specify what it should be if it's true, and then we use a colon and we specify what the value should be if it is false. And that way, instead of using, let me see here, 5 lines of code, we can actually do that on 1 line of code. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our commissioned earned variable to either yes or no based on this comparison right here. So if it is true, then we'll set it to yes. If it is not true, we will go ahead and set it to no. So if we go ahead and run this code, let me stop and rerun here. Yes, the salesperson earned a commission since sales is 175,000, which is greater than our commission level of 150,000. If I go ahead and set it, say, to 50,000 and rerun this, we should see a commission earned value set to no. Yeah, let's just stop and rerun down below. So no, the salesperson earned a commission. So again, that is the ternary operator, and it's great if you want to use an if statement to set some variable to a value depending on a specific condition. And again, what I'm running into here, when I click the run button down here, the code is not running. So what you can do is you can go ahead, this is the little stop button, so that'll stop the playground, and once you stop the playground, it'll turn into a run button down below so that you can go ahead and re-execute the playground, and it'll go ahead and run the playground for me again. So that's one little thing. The other thing you can do is if you go ahead and hold your mouse down on the little square down below, you can set your playgrounds up to automatically run. So if you set it to automatically run, what'll happen is the playground will continuously run. So if you change something, it'll just continue to compile and print out down below. It does take a little more time to do that, so I like setting mine up to manually run. That way I can pinpoint where I want the code to run, and I can just run those statements up to that point in the code instead of having the whole playground run and you have all of the output down below. So that's another little pointer that you can go ahead and use when you're running your playground. So that's all I had for this video. So I hope this helps you on the 2 videos understand control flow a little bit better. You'll want to go through the lesson in the textbook in addition to this video, and I will talk to you later. So have a great week.